How we doing today, guys? It's Jesse with the Common Man Corpus Christi, bringing you news and politics through a common sense lens. And man, I'll tell you what, we should all pray and thank God for Project Veritas, because these boys just keep the hits coming. They never let up, and they just keep on plugging away, and they have got another big one for us, and I think this is beautiful. So let's get right into it. From theblaze.com. New York Times journalist spills on tug of war at paper between reasonable people and crazier leftist shit. Matthew Rosenberg, journalist, New York Times. Dun dun dun. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Matthew Rosenberg described internal divisions at the New York Times between some of his reasonable colleagues and younger, more ideological leftist employees in a new video released by Project Veritas Wednesday. The video is a part 2 of a series featuring Rosenberg, a national security correspondent for the paper. In the first part, released earlier this week, Rosenberg criticizes the left's response to January 6, 2021 riot, mostly peaceful protest, at the U.S. Capitol, and mocks some of his colleagues for acting traumatized by the events of that day. In part 2 of the hidden camera sting, he elaborated on a real internal tug of war at the Times between reasonable people and some of the crazier leftist shit that's worked its way in there. They're not the majority, but they're very vocal, loud minority that dominates social media and therefore has just hugely outsized influence, Rosenberg said of some of his colleagues. If you go, make sure you go check out Project Veritas' video so you can hear this out of this guy's own mouth, right? Never believe anything we say. Go look at it for yourself. You can watch the video and see it come out of his mouth. Rosenberg did not identify these younger colleagues by name, but he did elaborate on how the broader American culture has impacted employees at his company, which in turn has shaped how the paper covers news stories and responds to controversies. So if our broader culture is in a moment where everybody thinks that they know best, that's going to end up reflecting itself. We're part of that culture, he said in one clip. I don't think they are consciously aware of these opinions. Like, you inhabit the world you live in. This is a world right now where everybody seems to think they have the answer to everything. In another clip, he describes some of the people who work for the Times as a very high-achieving, very neurotic people. And you can see it in how they approach the world and why they get freaked out over things. Whereas, like the rest of us are like, I'm going to go on with my life, he added, which is how most normal people are. The generational crash described has at times been seen in public, such as with the controversial firing of veteran science reporter Donald McNeil, who angered younger staff by using a racial slur in a discussion with students on an educational trip to Peru in 2019. Former Times opinion writer Barry Weiss has also publicly criticized her former colleagues at the paper, whom she accused of bullying and creating a hostile work environment for those who do not conform to their leftist ideology. And that's the same thing we've been seeing throughout mainstream media. And just like the video I did the other day talking about not watching Fox News, trust me, it's infected there too. It's gotten everywhere. When the undercover Project Veritas journalist asked about how many times articles are skewed by the culture at the paper, Rosenberg stated that it's become a real problem. It just gets worse and worse. We have a lot of younger colleagues who don't seem to get what we do, he said. I mean, there are people in the company who know they are not necessarily the reporters, but we do have younger colleagues who, like, if you come at us from a fancy Ivy League school, been in private school your whole life, there's a certain amount of indoctrination that's going on. It's subtle, but you don't realize it. And like the mere concept of microaggressions, somebody that's only X, like among normal people, they don't think about it at all, Rosenberg explained. And he's so very right. This is exactly why it's so important to get involved in your kids' schools, because this indoctrination starts at pre-K levels. People have to think about it, he quickly added. It's a subject of debate, but among a certain kind of academic, people raise that kind of question. It's just like a given fact of life. And I'm like, I don't buy. Like, I don't think it's actually, but like the kind of worldviews work its way in, it's a subtle, but it's there. And you're still like, God, what the fuck are we doing here? In another clip, he says that social media played a large role in how young people at the paper behave. So you got a small group of these elite that basically they're bullies. Kind of privileged. I think this is where the social media piece comes into it, Rosenberg explained. Personalities that would have been considered toxic in most places, that would have been shunned, kind of get elevated by social media because you lose the context of what they've done. If somebody is behaving the way you behave on Twitter in an office of 40 people, they're going to be social repercussions for that. That's not on Twitter. You got a hallelujah chorus cheering you on. He added, usually there are good faith talks of sexism, racism, whatever, but the bad faith stuff can be really hard to sort out in that situation. Asked if the Times is intentionally bending to please a left-wing audience for viewers or subscribers, Rosenberg shared that in his view, the paper is actually alienating most subscribers, which is why you see their money and all of this stuff tanking. Most of our readership, most of our subscribers are preposterous. Most of them probably are prosperous. Subscribers are prosperous. Most of them probably don't want to hear that they're awful people all the time, he said, and the really woke kind of racial stuff really bugs them. They don't think a world in which everything is defined by their racial identity is a good idea. And he's right, and they are right. These people are insane. They are, like we've been saying forever and ever and ever, they are a loud, vocal minority, and because the silent majority, key points on that silent aspect, has kept their mouths shut, and they just wanted to get along nicely with everybody else, and they wanted to go to their cocktail parties and have their nice afternoon teas with people from the other side. Well, guess what? The other side doesn't want that. The other side wants to dominate and destroy you and make you a subject to their whims and wills and a subject of the spirit of the age woke cult that they have all now become a part of. That's not how this works anymore. Nobody's on the same side. There isn't an American side with these people because they hate America. Okay? And he right here, that's exactly what he's exposing. That it absolutely exists completely and totally and fully at the New York Times. And there's no way to deny that. Most of us who have been paying attention for anything longer than 30 seconds already knew this. But those of you that are out there that are still plugging into legacy media, all of these corporate media conglomerates that all get their money from the same people, you're being lied to. You're being tricked. You're being manipulated. And it's going to keep happening until you turn off these networks, until you go out there and you find independent journalists that you trust. Like I've said before, I like The Blaze. I also like The Daily Wire. I love timcast.com. Those are great sources for people that are at least going to be honest about you. If they've got bias, they're going to be honest about that. But they are honest journalists seeking the truth. That is not what you're going to find at the rest of these legacy media establishments. Get away from them. Stop reading the New York Times. Stop caring what they think. That's the biggest thing, is stop giving a shit about what these people think. The New York Times doesn't matter. CNN doesn't matter. MSNBC doesn't matter. The local KII news station doesn't matter. And Fox News definitely does not matter. Get away from these people. They are liars and they want to manipulate you. And this Project Veritas video just exposes it and proves it even more. But hey guys, that's just my common sense take. Thank God for Project Veritas. This is Jesse with the Common Man, Corpus Christi, bringing you news and politics through a common sense lens. Thanks for watching.